Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, bonjour, good morning, guten morgen, konnichiwa, hi, how are you doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? It's Friday, my favorite day of the week. Yes, we're here at last. Love Fridays. As many of you will know the reasons for that. I'll come on to that in a moment. First of all, welcome. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't been here before, then thanks for coming. This is Ken at 10. We broadcast daily from our offices in southwest London. We are James Alexander Estate Agents. We're in an area called Norbury, which is situated smack bang between Croydon to the south and Streatham to the north. We're a zone 3 commuting area, so a typical South London suburb really. Great area, terrific community, and many first-time buyers, many investors, many families, and some prestigious areas, some sort of more economy areas, if you will, where you can pick up some really good value. And quite a broad brush market actually, and a good sample of a southwest London suburb, I would say, a good yardstick of what's going on generally in the market. So first of all, in terms of what we're going to do today, I'm going to take you through some of the headlines. Just finished a podcast which we'll be uploading soon. The last podcast was only uploaded yesterday, so there is a podcast there. If you want to find that, just look up Ken Humes podcast and look for the dog on your favorite provider. It's on Spotify and iTunes, and I hope you enjoy that if you're looking to take us with you in the car, so to speak. And today I just want to talk about this week. Lots more valuations coming in today, but generally a little bit quieter on valuations. One of the things that will be really interesting to watch over the next few weeks, how many days have we got left today? We've got a countdown going on. There's 48 days left before the end of the first deadline for stamp duty now, just 48 days. What does that mean? It means that if you're looking to market, sell and take advantage of the stamp duty deadline, it's unlikely but possible you'll make it. In fact, we tied up a sale yesterday where one of our really strong solicitors has said that she's going to do her very best to try and make it for the client. But an interesting report out yesterday said that 80% of solicitors are struggling with their mental health due to the pressure of the deadlines, because they have so many transactions squeezed into such a tight time frame, and for many of them the pressure is becoming unbearable. This is something that's a problem for many firms, and we're finding sometimes you can't get hold of them. Sometimes they do reply, some are very good, some not so good. Some of the conveyancing factories are shocking. Real mixed bag there. What will happen in the event of the deadline passing and people not making it will be really interesting to watch, because many of the sales that are headed for that deadline and hoping to make it will have been agreed some months ago, and the market has risen since. So we may find that some buyers then try and hit the sellers for price reductions on the basis that they've lost up to £15,000 because the vendors couldn't quite make that deadline. But many vendors may well turn around and say, well, actually, because prices have moved on, we could get a better price now anyway, and that at least negates the amount that you've lost, if not more. And of course, the risk that vendor runs is that if they're also in a chain, they might lose their purchase, which was also probably fixed at a similar time. So really interesting. But what I anticipate happening is a combination of the two, really. Some purchasers will hit vendors for reductions. Some vendors might accept a reduction, some small, some larger, depending on their position. Many sales may fall through post that deadline, and where they do, it'll be interesting to see, because what we'll find is that those sellers will go back onto the market, releasing some much needed stock into a quiet market. Will the buyers still be there? These are the questions people are asking. We think they will, because there's such a pent-up demand, and many people have seen the market rise, realize that the government is underpinning the whole house buying process, and it's quite clear from what they've done legislation-wise that this government favour housing. They want people to be buying, and they want a buoyant housing market. It's the first thing they did when the pandemic hit, was the property strategy by making it easier to buy in so many different ways, including now just coming online. And we've yet to see the impact of this. The new first-time buyer underwritten mortgages at 95%, giving a much wider access for first-time buyers to mortgages. So a really interesting time, that deadline and how it plays out. You'll find it here live with us, what's going on at the sharp end, at the coalface, so to speak. Some property headlines today. Buy-to-let taking off in the north. Northern cities, and this is an article in the Times, by the way, have seen a spike in buy-to-let interest following the government's pledge to invest in historically left-behind areas. Fabric Group says he receives about 2,000 calls from potential investors a month, with 80% of them looking to buy in the north of England. Well, that's hardly surprising, because the yields there are higher. They always have been, to be fair, but the larger cities always are the most popular. And Cranes in Manchester and Liverpool right now absolutely massive amounts, he said. An architect friend tells me there's a shortage of grade A office space in Preston and companies ready to fill them. That's interesting, office space and people filling that back up. We'll come on to another article about that in a moment. Savills said it expects the Northwest would experience an average house price increase of 27.3% by 2024. That's the largest regional growth in the UK. Its revised forecast for mainstream house prices, that was published in February, now predicts 28.8% growth by the end of 2025. In the Northeast, it's expecting 20.5%, beating London, which is expected to do 12.6%, and the Southeast 17%. Meanwhile, JLL has seen a 57% increase in lettings activity in the north of England so far, compared with the first quarter of 2019. So fairly positive stuff there. Other things going on. We've got one of the interesting things is the first-time buyers report that I saw come out. And this is saying that the Fidus First Home Buyers Report, and it says that in 2021, it's done a survey of 1,028 people and the factors most likely to influence their buying decisions. Many people selling first-time buyers properties will be interested in this one. Over 50% of the people surveyed said they'd walk away from a house with mold, and 40% saying insects would be their main concern. But that's really interesting because any seasoned house buyers like to tell you that mold is something that can be treated, and with the correct treatment can be done without massive financial outlay. So it's interesting they see that in insects, which often again can be treated cheaply, as the main issues. The main issues they should be looking at, of course, are more things like structural issues. But this is the difference between seasoned buyers and first-time buyers. We often find that first-time buyers, when they purchase a property, they expect their surveyor to vindicate their buying decision and say, you know, what a lovely choice you've made, it's great value. And of course, the first thing a surveyor will do is protect his own butt and say, look, you know, it may need X, Y, and Z. Please investigate this via independent contractors and draw your attention to wider issues. I'm not saying surveyors aren't worth their weight in gold. A good surveyor certainly is, and you should be looking at a detailed survey. But I do think that those comments should be taken in the context of what you're buying. i.e., if you're buying a second-hand house in a second-hand market that needs work, you should expect that it probably needs a rewire. Probably the roof isn't new. Probably everything else isn't new. That's why it's second-hand and at a discounted price to new houses and the refurbished house down the road. So you should take that in context of all these things. We had one recently where someone bought a house that was listed as requiring modernisation and then came back and said it needed modernisation and wanted a 30,000 reduction. Obviously, the vendor wasn't going to wear that one, and it's been tied back up to another buyer. But this goes to show and underline the naivety of some first-time buyers. So if you're out there, get informed, get educated, speak to your surveyor before you pull out the sale, because you may still find that the property that you've already got the offer on is the best value out there for the money you're paying. And the question you should be asking yourself on the survey particularly is, look at the line that says value in present condition. Question, is the value in present condition the same as the price you're paying? And if it is, then you're still on the right track, even if there's work to be done. So just one to bear in mind. Other things going on. What else have we got? Zoopla have reported that people are returning to urban centres. And this is good news because we've said for a long time that the urban centres are the things that are struggling. But they're saying amid a reduction in coronavirus cases, people are starting to return to urban centres. And this is good news for landlords. And there should be many more tenants coming into London, specifically, we feel, within the next couple of months as the rules are relaxed. So that should be quite good. As far as the market's concerned generally, we are seeing a bit of a drop-off in supply, as I've said earlier. We expect that supply will pick up at the end of June. If you're thinking of selling, you're not sure whether you should or not, drop us a line, give us a call. The number's 0208 679 8601. Give us a call, we'll have a long chat and decide whether moving's right for you, or DM us, depending what platform you're watching on. And apart from that, we hope you have a fantastic weekend. We're off now for what we call the ring round. Friday being the most important day, the day when we intensely get on the phones, ring everybody, get the people that are capable of buying and out there looking this weekend in front of our vendors' properties. That's what we work for, trying to achieve that above all else to get the best possible price for our vendors. And Friday's a great day for that. It's the day when people are planning their weekend. So that's why I love Fridays. It's a great day when we get people out viewing and set up our stall for the weekend, bring in the offers for early next week. So that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Look after your family and friends, and we'll be back on Monday with another Ken at 10. Until then, stay safe.